Hello, welcome to Retrospective Podcasts, where we have short, unedited, honest, and unscripted podcasts for various people from different backgrounds, including theatre, film, and science. And today I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Chris Parham. He's a teacher, actor, and author, and co-founder of the Black Stripe Theatre. And he's just written 2 new books, 130 drama games for the language classroom and beyond, and 12 short plays for the language classroom and beyond. How are you, Chris?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen you. I think it was about a year ago, and we were doing a live theatre production.
That's right. It was Macbeth.
It was, yes, yeah. And I think I remember
Do you
saying
still
to you,
remember your lines?
yes. And I think my famous last words to you were, I think this is going to be a good year for theatre. Because we had a few bookings, we had some drama workshops booked, but then, alas, COVID-19 came. And
That's right. We were going to do the Olympic play, weren't we?
That's right, we were going to do that as well, yeah. So, Chris, tell me a little bit about your background and how you ended up in Japan.
Well, yeah, I'm from London, and I went to drama school in London. And after drama school in London, I worked as an actor for a year. Then a few friends of mine said, "Oh, we're going travelling. Would you like to come with us?" And I thought, well, why not? I was 23 years old and ready to see the world. So we went off to Southeast Asia for about 3 months, and then down to Australia and New Zealand. And then while I was in Australia, I felt, oh, I'd like to go back to Southeast Asia. So I went back, and at the very end of my trip, I ended up visiting a friend in Japan. And that was just for about 9 days. And I thought, oh, of all the places I've been to, this is one that I'd really like to stay and work. So I went back to the UK and then applied for jobs and ended up in Japan. That was 17 years ago.
Wow, amazing. Okay. So I guess the past year has been quite difficult and challenging, with social and political issues and also COVID-19. But it's also sort of offered an opportunity for introspection. Have you learned anything or have you taken anything from this experience?
Well, I spend about 6 to 8 hours a day in the classroom or in the Zoom classroom. So that's what my life is at the moment, sitting behind a computer, teaching the students. I guess what I've learned is how to work some of these systems on the computer, Google Classrooms, Manaba, all these learning management systems that these different universities have, which I work for. I work for 5 universities. So I've been basically improving my ability to use software online. I'm a bit more tech smart, but not so savvy. Also, just, working with the students and I guess being a bit more patient with them, because everyone's got their own problem, right, with COVID. Some students are living alone and they're by themselves and they're having a great time because nobody's telling them what to do. Others are a bit worried because they're by themselves. Some students are living with their parents and their parents are quite strict and they're not allowed out of the house. So you hear all of these different stories and everyone's got their own. So you just have to be very patient with the different students. So that's what I've mainly learned. The theatres are closed, so we can't do any plays. I've had a lot of free time on my hands, and I've just been working.
Okay, good. It certainly has been a sort of a creative period, especially for theatre online.
That's right.
Never has the private space been so mediatized. Here I am in my bedroom, and there you are in your living room. What have you made of some of the online theatre. Is there any productions that you've enjoyed?
Yeah, there's been the National Theatre Live, and they were broadcasting from April to July. So I've been watching a few of those actually. Was it One Man, Two Governor? I watched that. What else was there? There's quite a few Shakespeare's on there. Antony Cleopatra, Twelfth Night, Midsummer Night's Dream. So I watched all of those, and there were some more contemporary plays too. The Barber Shop. Did you see that? That was brilliant.
No.
And yeah, stories from different African people coming to England and how they're sort of getting by, and also some stories from back in Africa too. That was fantastic. And Yerma with Billy Piper, that was terrific. There's been some great shows, and what they also had there was the opportunity for your university to get their archive. So
Right.
one of the universities I contacted the library because I said, look, they've got all of these shows. I'm doing a couple of performance classes. Is there a chance that we can access them through the university? And they set it up. It took 3 weeks, and there was only 3 weeks left, but
Right.
it was good for my class. We watched Frankenstein together, and that was brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah,
But there's been a lot. There's been a lot. There was one actually a friend told me about the other day. The Railway Children was on, and my son loves trains. So
Right.
I said to him, "Look, they've got the Railway Children. It's set a railway." And yeah, he lasted about 15 minutes. But that was interesting to see the way the trains moved, and it was set in traverse. So they had there was at one end they had the bridge crossing to the other side of the platform, and the train was coming through the traverse. Yeah, very interesting.
Wonderful. Well, that's the great thing about watching it online, is that you can watch it for about 15 or 20 minutes and then take a break and then come back to it, which is something you can't really do in a conventional theatre setting. So brilliant. So you've written 2 new books, 130 drama games for language classroom and beyond, and 12 short plays for the language classroom and beyond. Why did you decide to write these books, and why 2 books?
Well, it wasn't going to be 2 books to begin with. It was just going to be 1. That was the plan. Now, I had this idea about 4 years ago, and I was working in the universities here and using drama in the classroom and doing workshops. And teachers would come along to the workshop because they were very curious about, using drama. And we did one at Canda, Institute of Foreign Languages, and we did 20 games in 40 minutes.
Wow.
And they loved it. We had people standing around the room because the place was packed, and everyone participated in one of the games. We made sure. So that was great. And I thought, well, are there any resources here for teachers? And there's not many. There's been a book written by, I think it's Duff and Malley, about 25 years ago. And that's the only book with drama games for language students, which is sold on English Books Japan. So I thought, well, I've got a lot of experience, with drama, studied it from GCSE, college, university, master's degree, directed God knows how many plays and starred in a load too, and used it in the classroom. So I thought, I've got a load of ideas. Let's put it down on paper. Now that was 2018 when I started, and I had about 100 games by the end of 2019. And then I was working on the Olympic play, so I shelved the games, and then with COVID, I'd finished the Olympic play, realized we can't do it. I've got some time here, and I thought, well, what I would like are some plays. So if I write this book about games, I'll add some plays at the end. So I started writing plays, and I wrote 10 of them in about 2 months.
Wow.
And I had friends, and in fact, you remember because you joined us at that read through of the plays that we did, and there was a good response. I thought, well, I can use these with my students in class in September. So I did that. And I'd also written some extension activities to go with it, like comprehension questions, role play activities. And so I had 10 games plus 100, sorry, I had 10 plays plus 100 games by the end of 2020. I thought I can put this into a book. And I put it forward to a publisher friend, a guy who's got a small publishing company, and he turned around and said, here are 2 different books. There's 2 different audiences here. What I recommend you do is write 2 books. So I then thought, okay, what book could I finish quickly? And I thought, well, the one I could finish quickly is the 12 plays book. So I added 2 extra plays, and I focused on that. And then once I'd published that in sort of early March, I then, for the last 3 weeks, I've been working on the other one to get that published for the beginning of April. So yeah, what started off as 1 book became 2.
Wow.
On the advice of a friend of mine. And I had them published through a small publishing company, Intergraphica Press.
Wonderful. Okay. Now, some of the games that you have and scenes in your books, can they be done online, or do the students need to be physically present?
Well, the plays I used in the Zoom classroom. So the students were reading the plays. What I would do, I would assign students a part in a particular play, and they would come to class and they would read it at the beginning. So they would be doing the model reading. So that would be something they would be graded on, just reading it. And then students would go into breakout rooms, they would read it together, they'd answer the questions, and then we'd work on some of the extension activities. So all of that could be done in the classroom. Of course, they can't perform it. What I decided to do at the end of the term, because they'd read these plays, and hopefully by that time they were familiar with, the shape of the play, and so I thought, well, let's have students write their own plays. So that's what I did at the end of the term. So the plays can be used in the online or the physical classroom. The games, there's loads of different games in there. So word and pronunciation games, interrogation games, guessing games. So there's a lot of stuff that focus on using language. Of course, there's a lot of physical stuff too. You'd have to be very flexible to get it into the online classroom. But yeah, a lot of it transfers over.
Wonderful. Okay. You also co-founded Tokyo-based Black Stripe Theatre. How did that start, and what kind of theatre do you do?
That's a good question. Black Stripe Theatre, we started back in 2007, and I was involved in a production of Death of a Salesman. I was directing that. That was the first play I'd ever directed. And the lead actor, my Willie Loman, a guy called Walter Roberts,
Right.
we became good friends, and he and I suggested, well, why don't we do a play of our own afterwards? Because there's one big theatre company for foreigners over here, Tokyo International Players, and we both worked with them on a few occasions. And we said, well, why don't we just do our own thing? And we wanted to do a Pinter play, and we wanted to do it sort of straight away, because to get a play on at Tokyo International Players, you have to go to the board, they have to give it the okay. So we said, well, why don't we find our own space, put on a play. So we found a space, the Jewish Arts Centre in Roppongi area, and we staged The Dumb Waiter, and we did it over 2 weekends. There's one at the beginning of June and one at the end of June. There was a 3-week gap between doing it. And we did it for quite a few performances, I think 5 performances each time.
Wow.
So that's where we started. And then after that, we thought, this was a success. Let's do more. We did Glengarry Glen Ross. We did a few more Pinters. And for the following 10 years, we just did more and more and more. And our last sort of public performance was my production of Dealer's Choice in 2017. And then we made a conscious decision to go in a different direction. So for the last 3 years, we've been contacting schools and universities and been going in and taking sort of reduced versions of classic plays into schools. And we've done Christmas Carol, Hound of the Baskervilles, and Macbeth. And they've been met with a good response. And all of the schools have invited us back. So it shows that they enjoy the work. The kids absolutely love it. And 50 minutes, that's what our decision is. Play in 50 minutes with no interval, of course. And then afterwards, we offer them a workshop and a Q&A. So they get a lot out of it. And the kids have got millions of questions to ask. And we try to get them involved in the performance as well. So it's all fun. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. So let's finish on some on a fun note, some quick fire questions. What is your biggest failure, and what did you learn from it?
Oh my God! My biggest failure. I've got lots of small failures.
All right.
Failing my driving test first time.
Okay.
Failing the Japanese language proficiency test level 2 several times. What did I learn? Well, work harder, and then you won't fail it next time.
All right. Do you have any hidden talents?
I'm a secret author.
A secret author?
Okay. Yeah. And now everyone knows I'm an author, so it's not a secret anymore.
All right. Brilliant. What keeps you up at night?
I sleep well.
You do? Oh,
no, I sleep like a log.
Wow. Okay, I'm the opposite. I have insomnia. Okay. Last question. The strangest or funniest experience while working in theatre?
The strangest or funniest? There's been a load. The most recent one was the production of Macbeth that we did. We took it into a school on the other side of Tokyo, and it's on that day we couldn't use the huge hall, I remember, and they had to sort of fix us up in a classroom, and they had about 100 kids in there, and there should have been no more than about 30.
Right.
And at the end of the play, Lady Macbeth is going mad, and she's got her little monologue to herself, out damn spot, and her last line is to bed, to bed, to bed. And the performer Christiane playing the role decided, instead of sort of just saying that line out to anyone or saying it to herself, she directed it directly to a boy sitting in the front row.
Right.
And she put her arm out, and she, as if she was enticing him to the bedroom. It was a totally different take on the thing was, the boy was totally taken with it, and he felt that he should get up, and he stood up, and she took him by the hand and led him out of the room.
Wow.
And there she was. We thought that she was going mad. Well, not only was the character going mad, I think the performer had a moment of madness too. He gave that scene a totally different ending. But that was a fun moment.
Wow. Yeah. Brilliant. Well, on that bombshell, thank you very much, Chris. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.